How did you find out about online business and that that could be an opportunity for you?
I think I was just watching some motivational stuff on YouTube one day. An advert popped up, and it happened to be a young guy who had also been in software sales, big corporate career, also did very well. And he'd quit the rat race, quit the 9 to 5, and he'd set up a business just working from his laptop, selling 24/7, 365 a year, where he could travel the world, live the lifestyle that he wanted to, and earn a healthy income. I think he surpassed his previous corporate income. Wow. And that just really caught my imagination, and I thought that was something that was worth exploring. It sounded too good to be true, to be honest, but I felt really compelled just to take a look and to try and prove it was some sort of scam, but it turned out it wasn't.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think a lot of people, they've heard about online business. We see people on the different social media channels, or even friends that are saying, oh, have you heard about this person? He made money online. What made you commit to actually going ahead and starting out in online business?
When I was sent some sort of free, I guess, introductory videos from this guy that I saw, I signed up to his channel, and he sent me these intro videos. But once I watched these, I realized that, you know, they weren't talking about getting rich quick. It wasn't some magic button you pressed and the internet would just start pouring money over you. You know, there was a lot of hard work involved, and more importantly, a lot of step-by-step educational material that you had to go through to make this a success. So it felt very real to me that, you know, it wasn't easy. They were telling you it was going to be difficult, but they were also telling you that if you followed this process and you were determined enough, that you or anybody could make it work. And you know, I was in a position where, even though I'd been in IT sales for 30 years, I wasn't IT savvy. You know, I could just about, you know, type up a Word document, run an Excel spreadsheet if you were lucky, and do a bit of PowerPoint. So those were my IT skills. It was just office skills. And I knew I'd probably need a little bit more to run an online business. But once I'd gone through the introductory stuff that the SFM showed me, I could see that all of the training was there. You know, how to build your website, how to make it a commercial website, how to fully automate it so it could run 24/7 and generate money for you, I guess. But more importantly, I didn't even have an idea of what type of business I would want. You know, going into business, you've got to have a business idea. You've got to have a product that you want to sell. And, you know, how can you start a business when you haven't got a clue what you want to sell? So, you know, and that was the most refreshing bit about the SFM, is that they showed you a myriad of different options that were available to you to spike your interest, and you can sell anything that you have a passion about. And they were very strong about that. If you're not passionate about something, don't do it, because you won't get out of bed in the morning. You'll be back in the same place that you are in your corporate job, dreading going to work, even if you're working for yourself, unless you can find something passionate that you can really believe in and get excited about, that you can sell yourself. And I really like that. And, you know, it really resonated with me. I didn't want to just change a job to go and get into another rut. I wanted to change my lifestyle and do something I could be excited and passionate about. And they really sparked my interest, so much so that, you know, after watching the first few videos, I couldn't get to sleep at night. I was so excited. My mind was racing with all these crazy ideas. None of them I'd used, by the way. But it really, really got me excited. And I could see at long last that the only thing holding me back was my imagination and me. And so that's really how I knew the SFM stuff was different than some of the other stuff that I'd seen online about getting rich quick, because it wasn't that. It was an education, and it was education that I definitely needed.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds great. And I think once you realize that mind shift, that you can start a business, even though an online business, even though you didn't have that kind of technical background, you know, once I guess you understood more about it and how it all works, I think that kind of helped you to commit to it even more, and not stop you from actually going forward with it. And I just wanted to quickly talk about the SFM for those who don't know what the SFM is. So the SFM is a community of online entrepreneurs, They called the Six-Figure Mentors, and their mission in life was to help other people to grow online businesses. And they offer different kind of opportunities for people who want to start out online, and different systems that they can pursue. At the end of the interview, I'll also leave you a link where you can sign up with them, start your own journey, and maybe learn a bit more about what they offer. But back to you, Mike. Let's just have a look. What was my next? Yes. So I wanted to ask you what you think, in your opinion, is the best thing about running an online business. Like, what do you really like about it?
Okay, what do I really like about it? I think it's really, I guess it's being master of my own destiny. So I no longer have to worry about constantly reporting my sales results to a boss, and logging in and monitoring my time and reporting that to a boss, being constantly, I guess, on the leash, and reporting to somebody was awful. I now get the opportunity to work abroad. I've worked all over Europe, going off to work in the Caribbean later this year. So, once you've built your online business, as long as you have an internet connection in your laptop, you can work from anywhere in the world and any time of the day. It doesn't really matter. So that freedom is something you've never experienced. Even in the job that I had, I used to travel the world meeting customers and doing presentations and seminars and training for my customers, but it wasn't the same. I was always on a tight deadline. I could never see the countries that I was visiting. Time wasn't my own, and I was constantly always under pressure to get the next bit of work done. And yeah, it's just not the same. Now I choose when I want to work. I choose which country I want to work from, or like I am today, working from home and my office in the garden. I don't have to worry about corporate changes, mergers and takeovers, and I've been through a few of those in my time, or being made redundant. My success or my failure is completely down to me. And that's a really, really refreshing feeling once you've gone through this process and you've started to make a success of your online business. You know that there's no going back to the corporate world, and there's no going back to failure. I guess it's a very reassuring place to be, and I feel a lot calmer, a lot happier in myself. My wife thinks I'm a completely different person now. Yeah, it's changed my life, totally changed my life. I know I'm a lot happier and a lot more relaxed. So that's the biggest change, I think. Yeah.
You've touched briefly about the doubt that you couldn't do the technology side of things when you started out. Now we've talked about this already. Was there anything else that got you in doubt about starting out? Was there something that you thought, oh, maybe it's not for me? Was there anything else apart from the technology that's almost stopped you from progressing?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was full of doubts. I think the biggest doubt, the hardest doubt to overcome, is doubting yourself. I never started a business before. I'd always worked for other companies. And it was, do I really have the ability to be my own boss, to set up and run a business? Do I have what it takes? Do I have the drive and the motivation and the ability to learn a completely new industry, which is, I guess, marketing? I've been in sales, but marketing is very different. Family think, if I failed, would I be a laughing stock? Trying something wacky like setting up an online business? It sounds crazy. So all of those thoughts were spinning around in my head. And then I guess I had concern about, did I have enough money to make this work? I'd obviously have to invest time and money in myself to learn and change my industry. Did I have enough money and time to build my business and get it to a point where it was profitable before I ran out of that money? So all of these doubts and fear, I think, is the real word, that sort of hold you back and make you question yourself constantly. But I guess once I discovered the unique thing about the SFM education, it's not the modules, which are brilliant, and the training is really good. I think the real unique thing is the community. And if it wasn't for that community, and I wouldn't have progressed. And if it wasn't for that community, pushing, pulling, cajoling me, dragging me over obstacles that I continuously faced because of my lack of technology savviness. I would never have made it, and I think that really is why I knew the SFM was the right place, the right environment. If I was ever going to make my business work, it was here, because there were people starting their entrepreneur journeys at the same time as me. There were people a few months ahead. There were people a year or two ahead, and that was just wonderful. And I think I can't think of another business that you could go out, find a franchise, KFC or whatever, and set up in business and have that support, that help, that mentoring from people who are in the same boat as you, on the same journey as you, and it's just utterly liberating. And that's the reason why I put it all down to the success, not just the training, the community. It really is unique. One of the other things that really sparked my imagination was one of the SFM paths, I guess is the right word to use, is earn while you learn, which the affiliate marketing path, and that just completely took away a lot of the barriers that I suddenly saw ahead of me after doing a bit of research. They were just all removed, and I could learn online marketing, and I could earn while I was learning, and then maybe go back to my wacky ideas and buy e-bikes or whatever else comes into my mind in a year or so's time, which I'll probably end up doing. But it was just the perfect way to get involved in this business without having a massive amount of capital up front. And it was definitely the right move for me.
I've got one more question for you, which is, what would you recommend someone? So somebody has heard of online business and maybe they've heard of the SFM, but they're full of these doubts, like you said, like they're thinking, can I do this? Do I have enough time? Is there any specific recommendation you would give out to people that are in this kind of situation? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say, knowing what I know now, I would grab the opportunity with both hands. I really would. Keep taking positive action each and every day, moving forwards. I think you've really got to have, and again, they teach you this, you've really got to have a vision and a goal of where you want to be. Don't just go into it to make more money or make money on the side or replace your current income or revenue stream, earnings. You've really got to have a vision of where you want your life to be. Imagining that you had that freedom to work from anywhere, that you had enough money to do whatever you wanted to do in life, including friends and family. What would your day look like if you were in that position? And if you can picture what you would do with that freedom, with that income, then if you picture that and work towards that, then it really motivates you just to keep going. It is hard work. It's not easy, especially to start with, setting it all up. But what I've learned and my journey thus far is astonishing. I know there's no way back now for me, because I have made quite a few sales now, and it's really refreshing to know that it works and I can make it work. And if I can make it work, being a normal run-of-the-mill guy, and I am, then anyone can make it work. I'm over 50. I thought I was on the scrap heap. I didn't think anyone was going to hire me again, other than for my sales experience. Certainly wasn't going to be able to reskill and learn a different industry. And yet I've proved myself wrong with this training and this community. More importantly, I have reskilled. I'm still reskilling. I'm learning every day. I'm thoroughly loving what I'm learning every day. I skip to work now. I've only got 3 or 4 skips to do from my house to the office now in the garden, but I thoroughly love working for myself. I thoroughly love what I do. For the first time ever in my life, I'm getting fulfillment, because I'm not only earning a healthy income for me and the family, I'm now also helping others. It's just wonderful, and I'm blessed to be able to be in a position to do that. Yeah.
So absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Mike, for taking the time to speaking to us. For everybody watching, I'll leave a link somewhere on this page. you can click on that. You can fill out your short application to the SFM, and you can start your own journey. I hope you enjoyed this interview and the information, and hope to speak to you again very soon. So bye, Mike, and thanks again for coming out.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye then.